People deluded. I'm back again. I'm here with my good friend Graham. Good afternoon to you, fella. How you doing, man? Are you well and safe? Love to imagine you are.
Yeah, good afternoon, mate. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas in advance to you and your family as well, man. Definitely Merry Christmas being top four now.
It's 5 days to my birthday, actually. My birthday is
Happy
Christmas
birthday
Day.
in advance as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, looking forward to Christmas. I've got a few more days and then I've got 10 days off work, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, I'd be
Anyways,
jealous.
look, it's great to be back again. I really enjoyed the last time I was on with you. I thought we connected really well. I had a really good football chat, because you're such a knowledgeable guy on football. So, looking forward to coming back on today and a nice breakdown of Arsenal today.
I mean, that's a massive compliment coming from someone like yourself. As you know, I watch all of your videos, whether they be on AFTV or sister sort of channels and whatnot. And, we might as well get straight into it. The last time we spoke, we've had a couple of fixtures. We had a very good week last week. Just before I ask you how you feel about Leeds and West Ham, where was you at going into last week? Because, again, Leeds did lose 7-0. We still needed to go to a tough Ellen Road. And West Ham's West Ham. It was our first real test of our credentials and this new look team. So where was you at going into the two fixtures in the week?
I thought that the Leeds fixture was I thought we were lucky to play it. I thought because they had a lot of injuries. There was a lot of games cancelled over the weekend. COVID obviously cancellations, but I think it raises the bigger issue of when squads are stretched by not just COVID, by massive injuries, where the game should take place. So when I saw the Leeds lineup, or they had something like 9 of their 25-man squad unavailable,
15-year-old on the bench.
7 injuries. It didn't look a strong team at all. So I would expect us to go there and put in an emphatic performance and win the game. And if we're going to get top 4, that's the sort of game against those sort of opponents you've got to impose yourself on and win. It came off the back of a really good performance against West Ham. I thought the West Ham performance was the most complete performance I've seen from an Arsenal team for a long time, bearing in mind that was against a direct top 4 rival, I was a bit worried about that game.
Arguably.
I've seen a lot of West Ham this year and they really impressed me. So I thought going into, on the back of the 2 defeats against Man United and Everton, Southampton, West Ham, and Leeds, to come out of that with 3 wins and get our season back on track to get into the top 4 going on into Christmas is probably more than I dared hope for, really, to be honest. And I thought there's some good things emerging now, not just in the results, in the direction the team's going, in the way that the team is being coached, which you see from the evidence on the pitch, and the performance of some of our young players who are now really starting to put in some really great performances that belie their years. So I was, but going back to your original question, I would have been unhappy if we hadn't won at Leeds on Saturday, bearing in mind the team that Leeds put out.
You mentioned you can start to see the system and things. What have you made of the system under Arteta? And what are you directly referring to when you say you can see building blocks, etc.?
What I've seen actually is over the last few weeks is it's obviously it's come from really the Aubameyang situation, really.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, I know. I know you want to get into that situation, but I think in a way the Aubameyang situation has allowed him to sort of like put in place the system that he can't put in place when Aubameyang plays. And I know that I'm a massive, first of all, deluded. I'm absolutely massive Aubameyang fan. So and to see him lose his place in the team was disappointing to me personally. What happened last week obviously upset me and all that, because I do feel it's going to be hard for him to get back now into the side. And as football sometimes is about situations lead to opportunities for others and how they take them. So I think that Lacazette has come in. He's more suited to how Arteta wants us to play, and that's what I've always thought. And I think the role that Martinelli's now playing is the role that really Arteta wanted Aubameyang to play. I know he's played centre forward this year, but I think he's always preferred him on the left, making those out runs that Martinelli's making. So the fact that all of a sudden these young players are starting to deliver his vision on the pitch, I think, to me, is what I've made out of the whole thing that's gone on around the club in the last few weeks. And you've seen sort of like now you've seen ODEGAARD starting to have an influence on pulling the strings from centre mid, coming more central, but also being able to sort of like drift across the pitch onto the right hand side and build a good partnership with Bukayo Saka. I like the way that Lacazette comes out the middle, and then Tierney doesn't hug the touchline all the time now. He sometimes underlaps.
Variety to his play.
Yeah, variety in the build-up more now. So I've seen a difference in the way we build up. It was very stereotyped. I mean, people who used to analyse Arsenal could take a day off before a fixture.
Yeah, same thing every game. Yeah, really, historically.
We knew what they were going to do, mate, didn't we? But it's changed in the last few weeks, and whether it's because of the confidence now in the team, whether it's because of the situation that's presented itself around Lacazette, who I think does suit us more. For all that, Lacazette has got to be really unselfish, as what Arteta said on Saturday night. The way he plays in that position, because early in the season we were playing almost like that in a number 10 role to get Aubameyang at centre forward in that 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2. But really, his best position, I think, is leading the line at number 9. And I think the way he able to drop deep, link the play, and sometimes position himself up against centre halves to create space that way. The way he drops off sometimes into midfield as well. He offers the complete performance. I think I saw a statistic over the weekend. He had something like 30 pressures in that game off the ball for Arsenal, the most of any Arsenal player this season. That shows his work rate. And I think this role he's playing now means that the old role, when he was playing it where he was almost like dropping into midfield and then almost being like a number 10, then having to arrive in the box as a second striker. So basically he was knackered after 60 minutes.
Yeah, so you're never going to get
this role now. He's able to stay on the pitch for the full 90 because he's not doing that. So that's what I've seen. Clever movement from our young players, playing really off an old warhorse, you could say. So. And that's really come out of the thing that's what's been going on around Aubameyang.
I mean, it's, on the topic of strikers, I personally feel when we look at our strikers, I think it's a bit as good as our season's kind of turning and our fourth. The one thing I could want to see is a bit of clarity, whether it's short, medium or long-term futures. There's speculation over literally all of them. We've got the young Balogun and what we do with his next steps. Eddie Nketiah might very well start tomorrow. Aubameyang might leave. Where are you at with Lacazette and the new deal then? Because to play devil's advocate, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you said. He's still only got 2 goals this season. Everything's going right. Is he the man that's necessarily going to score? With Aubameyang leaving, is there it potentially leaving in January or the summer? Does that open up the door for you to give Lacazette a new deal? Or is it, a marriage that's going to come to a divorce in the summer regardless?
I think, as well as he's been playing, I think the marriage will come to an end at the end of the season. I think it's probably the right move for 2 reasons. I think one, I think his age. I think I think I'm not saying footballers can't be good in their mid-30s, and we've seen evidence of certain players like Ronaldo who seem to be playing as well as everyone. But I just think that I think I want, in a funny sort of way, I'm a bit not greedy, that's the wrong word, but I just think I want a striker that offers a little bit more in terms of goal scoring. You just touched on it there. I think he's only scored 2 goals this season. I think he's only had about 7 shots in the season. Exactly. So I don't think he shoots enough for me now, and I don't. The quality he offers is delivering. Is delivering for other people at the moment. That's clear. But I just want a striker who can score 20, 30 goals.
Right.
And I think we haven't got that with Lacazette. I don't think we've ever really had that with Lacazette. He's a great player, great professional, and I think that. Funny enough, when I used to see him at Lille, he used to bang in the goals, playing almost like in a different way in that Lille team. Was it Lille or Lyon? Lyon, yeah, whoever. But yeah, he's been a great servant for Arsenal, and I think you know. But I think that his time at Arsenal has come to an end.
Exactly, and that's sadly how I look at it as well. I mean, but like you said, Lacazette's a very good player. I do feel Lacazette's fans, including myself, probably because he doesn't score goals, we overcompensate with working hard and dropping deep and all of these sort of things. Where are you at with the back five? Because for me, I enjoy it. I know Ben White, you know, he conceded a penalty. I watched that goal again. I think it all comes from initially a throw in on the left hand side. It's about 9 passes, which leads to it. Joe Gerhardt's picked up off the ball, and then there's a space that's vacated, and sadly Ben White's tried to be a hero, and it wasn't that sort of party. Where are you at with our back five? Because I was disappointed we didn't keep a clean sheet, but I just love the performance of Tierney and Tomiyasu and everyone really.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the back five, to be honest. I think you're right. Ben White was very rash, and he has got that in his game actually. A couple of times this season, he's been a bit rash, and a couple of times he's been too easily shown on the inside. He hasn't come out and engaged a couple of times when you thought you might have done. But for all that, I think he's a class centre half on the ball, and I think he gives us so much when we play out. I think the one who's really impressed me, deluded, is Tomiyasu. I think I'll tell you what, you saw the difference when he went off on Saturday night.
That's where it went wrong. Among everything.
I mean, we lost that right hand side. We lost the combativeness that he brings, the energy,
we lost
the aerial duels, everything that he does. There was one situation in the first half where he chased the ball down the right hand side and turned and just moved away from his man, shrugged him off, and just came forward. And he got fouled, I think, in the end. But
yeah,
he's the one for me who, and the fact that he can play inverted. He gives the balance to the team. He's an unselfish player. He's almost like the Lacazette of the defence.
Yeah,
for me,
you can see him being part of the building blocks for years.
I think Gabriel's been absolutely awesome this year, and I think him and White is still a fantastic partnership. Kieran Tierney's come back in now; he's getting back up to speed. But we know we got Tavares, who's a really competent backup, who I think can come in and do a job. And we've seen good moments from him. And Ramsdale has come in and really exceeded all expectations. I think only 2 goalkeepers in the Premier League, the Wolves keeper and the Leicester keeper, made more saves than Ramsdale in the Premier League this season, which probably is not a good thing, showing that we're not protecting him enough, you could argue. But for all that, what he offers to us, not just in his saves, is in his ball distribution. I mean, that long ball he pinged down for Martinelli last week. Yeah, and the way he plays. So I'm really happy with our back five. I think that the one area of the pitch I'm still worried about is centre mid.
You set my next question up perfectly, Graham. This is like clockwork, man. Fantastic link-up play. I wanted to ask you on our midfield because I just feel, like you said, everybody's playing well. And I know Xhaka's coming back for injury. And we spoke last time about Partey talking about his confidence. But I feel, you know, the defense has been somewhat exceptional. We're finding balance in attack. I just feel the midfield is 6s out of 10s, really, out of max, really. It's not that they're playing bad. And that's the spine of our team. We're not going to become a great defensive side or a great attacking unit until that midfield, we can actually look at it and we say, what is it about? So where are you at with the last few games, all things considered, with, you know, specifically Xhaka and Partey and just the midfield area? Because we are approaching January. We could fix this in theory, or try to.
Yeah, we are. And we're going to lose players to AFCON, aren't we? So where am I with our midfield? I think that, obviously, disappointingly for me, Lokonga lost his place in the side. He was playing well again. He had a man of match performance against Newcastle. Apart from the Liverpool game, I think he's done really well for us. So with his progressive passing and everything, he can't shift across and do that role that Xhaka plays, filling at left back when Tierney goes high. But when you keep the pivot close together, I think he's been excellent. You know, against whoever he's played with. I think Thomas Partey continues to slightly underwhelm me for whatever reason. He's struggling to adapt to the Premier League, and he'll admit that. He's even got on record as saying he's only seen himself as scoring 4 out of 10 in his performances, so he knows he's not at the level that he wants to be. And Granit Xhaka, for all what he offers, has got that mistake in him that I mean, he saw that rashness on Saturday night. He got away with it a bit. And I don't, you know, that they've been okay, but if we want to go to the next level, I just think we need better. And that's And I look at the other sides midfields in the top sides, and would any of our centre mids get into those top sides? No, I think not. And I think that is the weakness for me, is really in centre midfield. When you think of the players we used to have in centre midfield in the past under Wenger, ball players, creative players,
progressive midfielders, facts.
Really good midfielders. I don't think we've got the quality there now, and that's the one area of the team really, apart from an out-and-out goal scorer. If you could just get an out-and-out quality striker and address our centre mid issue, I think we would have a team challenging next year. Up there challenging. Well, we're a long way behind Liverpool, Man City. I'm not saying we're nowhere near their level, but it would be the next step of this team, of this process for Arteta, of building the team, getting us back to where we want to be. So centre mid for me, is an issue, and I don't think we got the quality there. Whether Partey can grow and be that player yet remains to be seen. I personally don't think he will, and I think Granit Xhaka, I just don't rate the guy. That's just my opinion. I know there's a lot of Xhaka fans who rip into me every time I make that.
Xhaka sexuals, as I call them.
Yeah. So, but I look, I'm not saying that he's not a good technical footballer, but I think he's immobile. I think he's not good with the press. I think he's got a lot of things that he's not good at recoveries.
A lot of cons that outweigh the very few pros.
Yeah. He's got some qualities, but I just think the negatives outweigh the positives.
Facts. And I wanted to ask you, because you didn't say it, but you mentioned, with Partey. A part of me believes we're going to see a better Partey. I can't put my finger on it. Is it the system? Is it the tactics? Is it the manager? Is it just something with his mentality? Is it the injuries? Have we got him when he's declining? Is there reality? Because we can't carry passengers. One thing I do like, whether I agree with the Aubameyang situation or Pepe situation, which are two different things, I like how Arteta kind of just tries to isolate it rather than kind of having it hanging over our squad, which we've seen in previous seasons. But we can't carry passengers. Now, from what I know, Partey is a model professional, but it's a results business, is what you're doing on the field. Is there a reality where we might have to consider, this hasn't worked out, we might need to get someone else who can do that, maybe make him a squad player? I think it is probably too early to talk about moving him on, but yeah, the midfield. And as I said last time we spoke, for me, Mikel Arteta and Edu were midfielders, so no one should know better than them that we need to address this. And I think Arteta knows that. I feel with Xhaka staying, it somewhat kind of forced his hand, in the same way you kind of said it with what was happening with Aubameyang. Now, it's not forced his hand, but it's giving him a reason to play Martinelli. So where you at if we don't start seeing performances from Partey, really?
Where I'm at is that, looking at his age, I think that if he's not performing to the level we need soon, I think I will move him on. And that's, I thought that. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day about that, sort of like, there's a part of me that thinks that surely he can't carry on being what he is at the moment. He seems to lack confidence to sort of get in spaces to receive the ball. You look
lost
at
his mojo, I think.
Yeah, he lacks all. Yeah, and when he played with Lokonga the last time I saw him, I think it's the Newcastle game. I think it was Lokonga made something like 11 more progressive passes than him in the game,
and he created 6 chances.
Lokonga was the more. And the thing is, what he's had to deal with admittedly is, because they know he's a good player. He's had his passing lanes blocked. He's marked. But you expect that in the Premier League, don't you? I just think that the Spanish league obviously suited him, and also the fact that in Atletico Madrid's system suited him. I think that's, if you look at some of these Atletico Madrid players who've left Atletico and gone to other clubs to do this, they haven't kicked on, have they? And it could be that they just look good in. Simeone's got such a great system that suits those players. I still want him to be the player I think he could be, and I still just hope he might be. But if he can't be that, I think we're just going to have to, sort of like look to move him on. But if you can't, if you look at the midfield, if you're, we're sort of almost like wielded into this Xhaka thing now. He's giving him the contract extension, which I didn't agree with. But there's this bullshit about protecting his value. I just can't.
It's serious Graham's fans, people.
It's just crazy thinking. So, and you're thinking, well, a lot of people say they're good as a partnership, and there have been some games where they have been good as a partnership.
I hit and miss for me.
But I just look at other midfields, more mobile, more progressive, and offering more than what our two do. And if we've got these 4 young players now competing for 3 places up top, you could get them the right people in behind them.
Really thrive, yeah.
They could be even more better than what they are. I think what's noticeable for me over the last few weeks is that Odegaard has been almost like dropping deep to be what these other 2 midfielders can't be.
And even that, I see sorry to cut you, but Laka drops, everybody drops. I think you saw that against Leeds, you saw that against West Ham. You know, it's any coincidence. When our players are closer to goal, they make more chances. You're completely right, Graham, on that.
Yeah, so that's where I am with it. I do think we need upgrade in those areas. You know, whether you move one or both of them on. I still think that there's a player there in Partey because I've seen it. I see that dominant performance against Liverpool in the Champions League. That was against Liverpool. So I just disappointed. It doesn't always work out for some players in different leagues, does it? So, and it could just be that.
Exactly, it could just be that, and that's for me. You know, again, other clubs do it better than us, and it's easier said than done. But sometimes, you know, let's try everything to get him playing, or just anyone. But if it doesn't work out, let's nip it in the bud. Personally, I'd still persist with Partey. I think there's a player there. It's just down to him. I do think there's a bunch of reasons. I think the main one for me, and I don't really mean this as an insult to Thomas Partey, I think he's an extremely limited footballer, and he hasn't got that amazing IQ. What I mean by that is, you know, Simeone got him. You had a specific role. You pass the ball. You see Saul, these technical midfielders. You know, he had a specific role. I feel he's come to Arsenal and we've looked at his physical attributes and said he can do this and that. And I think like a lot of players, even Xhaka, the lines start getting blurred. Everybody can do everything, but they're not a specialist of anything really. And I think that's really Partey.
Yeah, I think the other thing is at Arsenal. I think we want him to do slightly more than what he did at Madrid. And that's it. Yeah.
And that's the scary thing, because I get it. You have to want to improve players. I remember Antonio Conte, when Kante, you know, had done his thing at Leicester in his first year at Chelsea, everybody was wild, and Conte got a lot of criticism because he said, I like him, but he needs to be a bit more progressive. Lo and behold, he's improved years on. So sometimes you need to be able to improve players, but it just feels, for me, honestly, we get a player, we just say, you know what, you as at Atletico, we're trying to build something. Come here and sort it out. And I think Odegaard is a completely different footballer. I think he was victim of that. I think Mesut Ozil was victim of that, and I think there's going to be other. I think even I agree, Aubameyang's been that. I just don't like generally how we look at one manager or one coach or one player to just turn this thing around. You know better than me. Our first attacker is Aaron Ramsdale. You know, there'd be no point in him being good on the ball. Our first defender is Lacazette. We need to make this the actual minimum. Speaking about the young players, the first one I want to speak about is Odegaard, really, because again, I do think to describe him, he'd be probably hit and miss with a lot of fans. Even I go back to the United game. I know he conceded a penalty, but I think if you know, it was almost a drop of a hat. People every 10 minutes were switching. I think he's found his feet. I feel, unfortunately, I wish we could play 12 players because Smith Rowe and him would be lovely, and we can't exactly do that. So where are you at with Martin Odegaard now? Yeah,
well, I'm really impressed with him. I think he's obviously came back into the team. He at the start of the season, he lost a bit of form and was taken out of the team. That's why Lacazette was almost like playing in his position. But I think now he's come back in, he's found his feet. I think the system Arteta's flipped to with Lacazette as number 9 suits him because he's creating the space for him. I think he understands positioning space so well. The pass he played for Smith Rowe on Saturday night for that goal was a delightful ball.
The first one where Saka and Laka should have scored in the first 2 minutes was even better.
Some of his passing is different gravy in it. So there's quality there. We know there's quality. He's still you forget he's only young himself. He's only about 22, isn't he? And he's going to get better. I think he's a quality player. A lot of people, obviously, you know, the Ozil comparison, so, you know, that's what he had to face when he came in. But I think he's going to be a really top player. And I've seen over the last few games the way he's influencing the games, the way he drops deep, pick the ball up, the way just the weight of pass to get out of situations, the way he opens his body up to receive the ball and let it run across him. And I just think he's got a lot of quality. And I think the important thing is now that we put him in the positions of the pitch where he can show that. And I think we've started to do that.
Do you feel people underrate his leadership qualities? I know Arsenal make a big song and dance about it, but yeah, man, do you think he's a leader? Because I just feel he's not ugly, innit? He's a pretty boy, so it doesn't go for him. He's not the image of a leader. I mean, he could be a model, really. I think it goes against him a lot.
You wouldn't mind looking like him, would you?
No, you wouldn't, mate. You get a lot of girls.
Look, he's captain of Norway, isn't he? That's the
This
first
is it.
thing. And I think he has got leadership qualities. And I've got a sneaky feeling that they're going to run with this leadership thing to the end of the season, sort of like with Lacazette, Xhaka, or the leadership group. It'll spin between them. And then I think you'll find he'll be the captain at the start of next season. I know there's a shout for Kieran Tierney. But I just think Odegaard, I just got this sneaky feeling he's going to get the role. And he's definitely a leader for me. You don't become captain of your country at that age if you're not a leader.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Definitely. I mean, where are you at in terms of that leadership group stuff, anyways? Because I don't know where I stand. A part of me loves it. A part of me thinks it's a bit unneeded. I do think we have young leaders or leaders in waiting, and I do think we could look to use Lacazette and things like that. Where my problem is we're relying on the senior players, and there's a lot of speculation over their futures. So where are you at with the leadership group and potential our next captain, anyways?
Well, I don't particularly like it, to be fair. I think the problem is we've arrived at this leadership group because we've been so naff at picking our captains. You look at the last 8 or 9 captains. I mean, the person who took Aubameyang took over from Xhaka, who basically got stripped. So somebody's been stripped who took over from someone who was stripped. You've had 2 of them sort of like basically. You think back to the Koscielny and Fabregas who went on strike. You've had captains go on strike. You've got Gallas who sat on the pitch and then
he's the worst one of the bunch.
City press conference attacking the team. You don't do that when you're a captain. I mean, the club have been really stupid or the way they pick the captains because it's been reflected in the way they've acted. So it's almost like they've come up with this leadership group now. And the leadership group is formed out of who people respect at the club. I think the players might pick it, I think, from what I've heard. But I just think you name a captain. You have leaders anyway. I'm pretty sure when our great captains for me have been Tony Adams and Patrick Vieira, but I'm pretty sure we had leaders on the pitch. We didn't have to say there's a leadership group. They just led on the pitch anyway. And why do you have to create a leadership group? I just don't understand that. You have a captain and you have a vice captain, I think, and that's it. And I think because we've been so naff at picking our captains, we've created a leadership group almost like to deflect away from the fact that we just can't pick the right captain. You've had captains as well. We picked captains who didn't even get in the team. I mean, I've never known a club like us. I mean, we're the club when it comes to captains, aren't we?
We've had road captains, captains who have just been on the injury treatment. We've used it to try and keep players at the football club.
Captains who have thrown the armband down.
Throwing the armband down and all of that sort of stuff. Exactly, still there. Who'd be your next captain? Because I know he's been here 2 minutes, but for me, it's between Tierney, Ramsdale, and obviously Odegaard. I'd actually throw Gabriel's hat into the mix as well, depending on the language of English.
I like my captain. I like my captain to be a centre half because he sees the whole pitch. I think Ramsdale, he leads on the pitch. He's a fan. He would be a fantastic captain. And I think Kieran Tierney for me, it would be a great captain. But the trouble is with Kieran is I think he's injury prone.
Yep.
I just got this. Who would I give it to? I think as I said, I think Martin Odegaard must be in the frame. So for me, it would be between I think Tierney and Odegaard. But the fact that Tierney is always injured or suffers from injury means I think Odegaard must be strongly. In fact, all the messages I'm getting coming out of the club is they see him as the next captain. So, and I think that decision will be taken in the summer.
I think so too. I think Odegaard is him in waiting, and I think it'll be interesting to see long term how we fit Smith Rowe and Odegaard in the team, especially how they're playing currently. I've left this question up here forever. I've been
looking at it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I apologize. I've just noticed, man. I've just been staring into your eyes and just enjoying our conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Crypto Finn. You have said if we had 70 million to throw on a striker, who would Graham rather spend it on?
Wow. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I think you asked me this question before, actually.
Deja vu, don't it? Yeah.
I think the one everyone's talking about is Calvert-Lewin. I would. How old is Tony at Brentford? Is he 31 now?
25, 26. He must.
Yeah. See, I like Tony. I like Tony.
Enough goals for you?
But pardon?
Does Tony score enough goals for you?
Probably not. Calvert-Lewin gets more goals, doesn't he? I've always think sometimes, but for me, I like the Fiorentina striker.
Vlahovic,
Is it?
he's the
Yeah, I
one
do
on
like
everyone's
him.
lips, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you want someone to combine with Odegaard, Isaac played with him at Real Sociedad, didn't he? So David is another one who's been mentioned.
The Lille boy.
But look, for me, Tony or Calvert-Lewin would be I would like Tony for his physicality, Calvert-Lewin because he offers this not just he's close to the Lacazette, isn't he? In a way,
Yeah.
you're thinking about a striker that might suit the way Arteta wants the team to play. I think Calvert-Lewin would come into that.
Would you throw Martinelli up there as a sort of in-house thing?
For me, the Fiorentina striker, the Serbian striker, Vlahovic.
Yeah, that would
I've
be
been
the first thing for
really
me.
impressed with him this year. Yeah, but whether he's worth that's a lot of money, isn't it? 70, 80 million.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's like, would you consider
but
probably maybe moving Martinelli there and playing behind the
I
winger?
just think unless we get Champions League football, I don't think we're going to attract that type of player. I'll be honest with you. I think that we need the Champions League spot. If we, we're in the top four now. If we could end up finishing top four, then I think we would have more of a pick of the striker we're going to bring in for next season. But look, I've thought about it. I'm going to go. Vlahovic would be my favourite, and Calvert-Lewin if we're going to pay the English tax.
I hear that. Would you be open to maybe moving Martinelli up there and maybe getting a goal scoring winger? And a bit of a double question, because this is really for me. Does it concern you, the striker thing? Because on one hand, it doesn't. It somewhat excites me knowing that we're looking to add a striker. But you kind of touched on it, unless you have Champions League or you're going to slap top dollar, we're not really going to get like kind of guaranteed goals. Not that anything's a guarantee. So then you probably have to sign those bridge players. And I think Isaac is that. I think he's got great potential. I think he'll score goals. But I do think, obviously, with him kind of being on the younger side, somewhat naive, I know Vlahovic is only 21, there might come those struggle periods. So is it a thing where we might have to be reliant in other areas on the pitch rather than necessarily sign a striker who's going to replace historically what Aubameyang used to do here?
I think the good thing this season is that our midfielders are scoring goals, and we are getting goals from all over the pitch now, which we're incredibly reliant on Aubameyang for 2 seasons. And when Aubameyang's form dipped last season, and obviously this season, at the start of the season, there was no goals coming from anywhere else on the pitch. I think Smith Rowe's got more goals now than any midfielder in the country.
He's got 7 there. Our top goal scorer in the league.
Yeah, Saka's starting to add a few goals to his game now. And Martinelli. Now, Martinelli, it's interesting that you mentioned there. Whether he can play as a central striker is another question at the moment because he's better on that left-hand side. But one thing he does,
runs, yeah.
Pardon?
And making those runs you said earlier about into out.
But one thing he does do, Deluded, is he often when Laka drops in, he's moving more central anyway. So I think the thing is, the only thing he lacks is being able to hold the ball up. That's the one thing he probably can't do yet. He's only 20-year-old guy, isn't he? So that's the one side of his game that probably could be developed. He could become that striker, couldn't he? But I don't think he's quite there yet. So I do think we need. I'm not saying he can't play there, move inside, or even cover in a position occasionally for some games. So it's an option, but I think you're going to need a striker there. I think similar to Lacazette, with a more of a goal threat would be what I would want in that position. So, but it is good that we're scoring goals from all around the pitch now. So Smith Rowe scoring, as I say, Saka added 1 on Saturday night. Odegaard has scored 3 in the previous 3 before Saturday night. So there's goals coming, pretty much all around the pitch now, which is good to see.
What about another one I saw earlier that we was linked with, Ollie Watkins? He was an Arsenal fan. I do think he's got a bit of.
I'm not a big fan of Ollie Watkins, me personally. I think I'm not saying he's not a good player, but I wouldn't put him up there with some of the other ones we've been talking about.
Makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. Well, you mentioned it, and I haven't specifically asked you, but as an Arsenal fan, one great thing has obviously been the young players. When you look at it generally, you know, the defenders are quite young, the attacking players, you know, we could waffle about Martinelli for another hour. How does it make you feel? Because again, we've kind of been here before in that we've got young players, you know, we need to kind of guide them and whatnot. Do you have confidence that, you know, this time we might get it right? You know, do you, you know, where are you, in fact, where are you at with Arteta now? Because we're full for Christmas.
I love the way you work that onto Arteta, mate.
Well, you know what? Let me be devil's advocate.
Well, you know, I'm a lot older than you, mate, and I so
Yeah, you can tell.
so I could, you know, back in 85, 86, when the club were going for a real lean period, George Graham come in,
History
and he
lesson
did
for
very
people
much
my
similar
age now.
things to what Arteta's done this year, and that is he got rid of a lot of the senior players like your Charlie Nicholases, your Graham Rickses, your Kenny Sansoms, your Viv Andersons. Everybody was horrified at the time, and he brought a load of youngsters in: Tony Adams, David Rocky Rocastle, Mickey Thomas, Niall Quinn, Martin Hayes. All these type of players came through, right? And then he added quality to them in defensive numbers as well. And then he bought Ian Wright, and all of a sudden we were winning league titles and FA Cups, which nobody foresaw at all. So, and he built his team around young players. So it can be done if you've got the quality. So we've seen young players come in before and not make the grade, obviously, because that very much goes with, I should imagine, the way the sport is. Not every young player is going to make it, you know. So, but I do think, looking at this group of young players, there's a lot of quality there. There's quality there in the fact that Saka and Smith Rowe are already in the England side, you know, in the England squad. Saka has been obviously in the England side. Odegaard is captain of Norway, and Martinelli, I think, is tremendous. I think his ceiling is really high, you know, and you know, fantastic player. Reminds me a bit of, almost like we've said it on other streams I've done, Alexis Sanchez, almost in the way he
100%,
plays, you know, that
100%.
high energy running and the way he presses, the hunger of the man is the
Final
young
ball
man.
was quite good as well. Like he
Yeah,
almost had a lovely assist for, I believe, Saka.
yeah,
He dragged it wide against Leeds.
yeah. And then if you look at the back, even sort of like Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, and Gabriel, they're all young players. They're all young, and so there's definite quality there. And I think these, you know, over the next few years, if this group stays together with the right additions around them, with, you know, as we talked about today on your stream, in central midfield and maybe a quality striker, I think they could get to a really high ceiling and push us challenging for trophies. I do see quality there. So, and
Facts.
I think Arteta has to be given credit for that.
100%.
The funny thing is with Arteta, when we lost to Everton, everyone wanted him out. All of a sudden, everyone's now saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I
Always
think
like that.
it is like that. And I'm not a flip flop. I'm basically somebody who sits in the middle, basically,
Join
and
the
just
club.
it's just realistic. I mean, he's a bright young coach. I think he's inexperienced. He was not my first choice when we picked him, but I think that, you know, I've seen signs that he's improving, and you know, I think that there's always going to be pressure at a big club like Arsenal. He has to
100%.
accept that. But I think, you know, you judge people at the end of every season. I think, and I think he has to get Arsenal into Europe this season. At least the Europa
Facts.
League. At least the Europa League. If he got us into the Champions League next season, everybody would be probably not having this debate, would they? So
Be
he,
overachieving, really.
he has to deliver European football. I think that was the target for this season, and I do see him. You know, it's been a poor start. We lost our first three games. I think we're the first team since Wimbledon in 1996-97 to be in the top four at Christmas, having lost our first three games. So, and he was dealt a harsh blow at the start of the season with COVID in the camp, and Gabriel and Partey not fit at the start of the season, and Saka and Martinelli couldn't play at the start because of the Olympics.
Saka had the Euro stuff, yeah.
Saka was just come back from England duties and was burnt out. So he had a really difficult start based on circumstances. And all of a sudden, he turned it around. We did have a little blip. And when you've got a young team, Deluded, you're going to have blips.
Many of
You're
them.
going to have
Many of them.
bits of inconsistency. It's just a question of whether you've got the quality to overcome those bits of inconsistency to, at the end of the season, deliver. And I think that's the challenge. So where I am with him, I'm where I've always been with him. I'm never an Arteta in and Arteta out. I don't look at managers like that personally. I understand it's the narrative now in football. I supported Arsenal in the 80s when you've come 7th or 8th. The managers were never under pressure. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing how football is
I'm
now.
spoiled. I'm a Wenger baby.
But no, so look, with Arteta, I think he's going to be under pressure though, because the way football is now. So he's got to deliver European football at the end of the season. If he doesn't deliver it, and we finish 8th again, say, I think it'll be. I'm not saying his position will be untenable, but he would be under enormous pressure. So would the club.
Facts, you said it there. I feel, the position we're in now. I actually, on one hand, I don't like saying finishing fourth for Arsenal is overachieving, or we're overachievement, or we're overachieving necessarily. But on the other hand, I do think we are. I do like the fact that we, to coin my own phrase, are overachieving, because when that normalization or bumps, as we said, happens, then maybe that might just coast us through if we are to land at minimum into a Europa League place. How confident are you in him? Or I know you ain't got a crystal ball, but how confident are you in Arsenal being able to see this task through? Because we've still got 20 odd games. We're in December. It's great right now. It could last, man. I want it to last forever. Christmas is amazing.
Yeah, I think that I think the Man City and Liverpool will compete for the league. I think Chelsea have shown a slight vulnerability right now, that they've lost players. They've got no striker at the moment, although they've got their main strikers. I mean, like Lukaku and Werner. I think that Lukaku suddenly, after looking like he was going to solve their problems, has not quite delivered what everyone thought he would.
Presented more problems.
So, yeah, I think, and obviously Chelsea have lost one. They've got a few injuries at the back as well. So I think that I always thought the league would be between Man City and Liverpool. I thought Chelsea would make up the top 3, and I thought the top 4 was the fourth position at the start. I thought would go to Man United. The way it's unravelled, I just think now it's up for grabs. I do think that. I think that although Solskjaer's gone, I still don't think Man United are great, and I don't think they're nailed on to get fourth. I think fourth, the door is ajar there for fourth place, 100%.
Exactly.
I think we're in the running. I think there's us, there's Man United, there's Tottenham, and there's West Ham. I think they're going to be the clubs are going to will be contesting this position. Look, a few weeks ago, I would not have thought we would be where we are now. And football can change very quickly. So I'm not counting my chickens. So we could go on a bad run. I look at our next few fixtures, apart from Man City, and think they're winnable games. So Norwich and Wolves, if we take maximum points there, that puts us into a really good position going into the Man City game. And we don't know, to be fair, football's going to have a little break with what's going on in the world at the moment. It could well be put on hold for a couple of weeks. I think it might not, but you never know. But if we play those 2 games and win those 2 games, we go into the year in a really good position, nearly halfway through the league season. So our aim has got to be the best of the rest, apart from these 3. People are starting to say we could nick 3rd place. I still think Chelsea have got too much quality.
Let's keep our feet on the ground, people.
I just think the top 3 will be Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. That will be my order. But I do think we've got a genuine chance of 4th place. I didn't see it pre-season. I certainly didn't see it after 3 games. The fact that we're in 4th place going into Christmas for the first time for 20 odd years, you've got to give credit to the club, to Arteta, the recruitment, the players who've delivered on the pitch. I think there's every reason to be positive and optimistic. And I think we've got to get behind the club, get in the ground. I go to the home games, obviously, get in the ground and support the team and drive them on. I think we've got a chance. I do think we've got a chance. It obviously relies on players staying fit. It relies on, you get injuries in positions that you can't cover. That's always going to be a problem. And I don't think we got the quality of depth of some, maybe say Man United, for example. But look, I think we got a great chance now. I think we're there. And you'd never, if you'd said to me back in August after the Man City game, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have probably put me mortgage on the fact we wouldn't be in the top 3, top 4. So yeah, it's we got a chance, mate. We honestly have.
Like you said, man, I think football has a funny old way of just humbling people. And I think like the segment you just said about Arteta sums it up. I feel there's too much, I feel people want to look at football black and white. You have to be an
Yeah,
Arteta apologist or you have to hate the guy, where really we're
yeah,
meant to be loyal to Arsenal Football Club. And you touched on it. I just feel, we have to criticize the club when they do bad. Right now, things are going well. I think there's many things we could do better. We still ain't played completely convincing over 90 minutes, but they've earned this position in the same way you make your own luck. When we've messed about, our season's really been written off in previous years. Now it's down to these boys. They can't count their chickens before it hatches, as you said, and we need to just deliver. And that's something I actually liked against West Ham and Leeds, because I did feel, again, to go back to the Southampton at home game, it still felt like we was licking our wounds in the first 20 minutes after what happened to us on the road. And I've seen like real decisiveness from us. So like you said, the thing that scares me is injuries. If a few players stop scoring, then we might be in some trouble. I personally believe we have a chance at top 4. If we mess it up, it's off our own back, but we definitely should be getting in Europe, really and truly. I want to ask you about a couple of players, because we've spoken about the good players, the players that are actually playing. It feels like it was a year ago, but I haven't had the chance to speak to you about Aubameyang or Pepe's situation. Now, Pepe's got nothing to do with what's happening with Aubameyang, but where are you at with Pepe now that Martinelli's emerged? And, Pepe can't buy any minutes. And obviously, where are you at with this Aubameyang stuff?
Well, I think that Pepe is now well down the order, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's an unused sub in about 6 of 7 of the last 8 games or something like that. And and when he came on, he gave him 10 minutes in one game in the rain at Everton, didn't he, or wherever it was? Was it?
Yeah. Where you can't really do much. Yeah, 100%.
Or very little time. I forget the game he came on at now.
That's where
Couldn't
we're at.
really do much. I think that I do think that these both players are in positions where you can see Arsenal sort of moving them on. I think I'm not saying I'm in that position, because I think Pepe. I think there's a talent there. I really do. I do like him, and he's a goal scoring threat. But for some reason, Saka offers more to him than him on the right. The way Arteta wants to use him, don't think suits the way he wants to play. If I've been absolutely
Do you think
honest
he's too
about
one-dimensional?
it. And then on the left, which you think he could offer something on the left, now he's got Martinelli emerging, who seized his chance. So
And Smith
almost
Rowe
like the
goes out
door
there.
there. Unless these players get injured, he's not going to get a chance, is he? He could get in. Obviously, he might play against Sunderland this week. There's a possibility he might be used in that game. But I think that he's well down the pecking order, and the rumours coming out of the club last week was he's looking at his options again. So, and that tells me that he's frustrated of lack of game time. Where I'm with Aubameyang was, obviously I'm a massive Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang fan, so it hurts me where he's at. I understood what happened last week, the way the club took the stance they did. I think the fact that previous captains have disrespected the position that went against him, Arteta has been very good to him. So I think possibly it could have been done in house. But the thing is, when you're doing an Amazon documentary, how can you keep it in house?
Exactly that. It's this, yeah. Who knows? Maybe they've both been put up to it.
It's almost like these days in the modern media world, we just talked about the way that football's black or white. It's almost impossible to keep anything in house. In my day, you used to sort of get information on CFAX. These days, it's sort of it drops in from about 20 different angles, doesn't it, on social media?
Everyone on Twitter knows what's happened.
Yeah, everyone. So you just can't keep things in house now. And so I think that I looked at a stat that might, to me, be pivotal here in this Aubameyang situation. Since last season, we've taken less points than when he started to when he's played. It's something like 1.48 points per game when he's played. When he's not played, we average 1.69 points a game. It's not much, but that's
It might
telling
tell
to
you
me
something,
that and the reason why I use that is I think the team has moved away from him in a funny sort of way, the way we're playing now. It's almost like the team has gravitated away from him. I think he's somebody who...
He unbalances the side right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've always felt that he doesn't suit the way probably Arteta wants to play. I think that, I think, I see that comment there about disrespect and all that. These footballers are highly paid people who basically have to buy into the culture of the club, the values of the club, respect rules and regulations. So if you don't do that, you sometimes face the consequences. And I think that probably this feels like after this is, the way Arteta's now sort of like continuing the punishment in a way. I think that he'll probably go. I think now both him and Pepe probably won't be at the club next season.
Would you say Aubameyang in January or the summer?
The problem with Aubameyang is that he's on such high wages. I don't know who's going to take him and where he's prepared to take a drop in wages. So there was
miss
links
out on his loyalty bonus.
Yeah, there was links to Juventus, but you'd have to take a massive. There's not a lot of money in Italian football at the moment. You'd have to take a massive drop in wages. I don't think you're prepared to do that. So it's another sort of unfortunate situation like we had with Mesut Ozil. We're paying prime dollar.
Speaking of Ozil, would you rip it up like Ozil then? Which a year from him signing the deal, really, would you, is there a reality for that where you see that happening with the club then?
I don't know if we can afford to keep ripping up contracts. I think we should. I think that look, I think that he'll still be part of the squad for this season. To be honest, but I can see if the opportunity presents himself, they'll probably move at least one of them on. That's what I think.
That's it, man. And I feel January is going to be a very weird one because I feel we're in a good place. Players have had opportunities, some more than others. But I just look at a few names, you can imagine the headlines with Nketiah, Balogun to a degree, Lacazette, Aubameyang, El Nene, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's somewhat a forgotten man as well. There's going to be a lot of speculation about players. I hope we sign a midfielder as opposed to a striker if we have to only do one in January. Whether that happens is another thing. So where are you at with, to wrap this up, where are you at with Sunderland then? Like, are you rotating players? Are you naming a strong side? Would you give Balogun a start? Where are you at with
I think this is a game where they can rotate a bit. Sunderland, obviously, a lower league team. Down the league's not high, so we're at home as well. I think, I would rotate for this game. I haven't yet worked out how I'd rotate, but I would give an opportunity. Also, you want to give certain players games to keep them sharp, fit, to keep them involved, feel part of the group. Fact. Because we've played the same team now for 4 or 5 games, so it might be an idea to give a player a rest. I think
Tomiyasu definitely after the calf strain or whatever.
So I think that you could maybe Smith Rowe could play in this game as he hasn't played in the last few. He's been coming off the bench. I think Rob Holding would get minutes. Obviously Leno would come in. Cedric would play. Probably Elneny would play in midfield.
Tavares
and Nketiah will play as well. So I think you can do that in this game. Sunderland are 2 divisions down, are they? 2 or 3 divisions down now?
League One.
So I think he'll rotate and give the opportunity to some of the players who haven't been playing.
Makes sense. Final question then. Score predictions.
Pardon?
Final question would be for you, Graham. Score prediction.
I think it'll be a comfortable Arsenal win. Even we rotate, I'll 2-0.
Comfortable. I was going to go for the jugular. I was going to say 4-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I'd sum it for the travelling Sunderland.
I'll tell you what, I don't do Super 6 because I'm crap at predictions. So
join the club, man. We're probably going to have to take it to
think it'd be 3-4-0, wouldn't you? But
yeah. Do you know? I'm just hoping that I just have a feeling Nketiah is going to bag a couple. The rotated players, 1 or 2 will grab.
But the thing is, when Eddie came on at Everton, he had that poor miss. But I actually thought he played well when he came on.
Not more than Aubameyang, really.
And we saw in that game, we talked about we've given Arteta praise for the coaching and the structure. In the Everton game, there was a lot of criticism of the structure, the fact that we were too structured. Then all of a sudden, the last 10 minutes, it's almost like the handbrake came off and the players just thought, sod this, we ain't going to play anymore the way he wants us to play. Exactly. We're just going to start running past people and running at people. And Nketiah was central to all that, and he created some really good openings through doing that. And it was his running that set up the chance for Aubameyang, which he side-footed wide. So I think Eddie, albeit the bad miss, he scored goals early in the competition against Leeds, I think it was. I think he deserves a chance, and he's playing well enough. And I think
he's been our starting striker in this, really.
So. Yeah, so I can see him starting. Yeah, so I expect us to progress. Hopefully, the COVID champions Tottenham will go out. So, and by the way, The great news today is that they've been given a battering, haven't they? 3-0 by Reds.
Yeah. Without even playing. Wow, Spurs, man.
I really enjoyed that when I heard that this morning. Yeah, so
man.
it'd be nice to see West Ham knock them out actually, but because I don't think West Ham at the moment are struggling with injuries themselves. And all joking aside, I think Conte is starting to make them a bit more, back to where they were. To be fair,
Yeah.
I mean that was a really good
Game
performance
from
against
them
Liverpool
yesterday,
yesterday.
yeah.
So, but yeah, it'd be great. I mean, this would be great if we get through. The draw's been kind. I just hope we take advantage of it and book our place in the semi-finals.
Facts. In fact, last question. I know I'm asking you to jump into the future, but what are you looking at in terms of Norwich then? If we were to park the cup game off and look at Norwich, because on one hand, I expect it to be, you should turn up there and win, but Carroll Road, they're fighting relegation. We still ain't got the best of records on the road, and there were elements of that at Ellen Road, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think this team has found a way to win at home. We've got when we went into that Leeds game, no team has won more games at home in the Premier League than Arsenal, and only Watford have lost more games away in the Premier League than Arsenal. So that
Tells you
was
the
quite a
story.
significant result against Leeds because we haven't been great on the road, as you said. We haven't been great. We find a way to win at home, but we struggle to find a win away. I don't know why that is. Familiarity, obviously, home advantage might be part of it. A young group probably struggle more away from the comforts at home. It could be that. But for all that, Norwich is a team, a bit like Leeds. They've got a few players out, and they're down the bottom. When we played them early in the season, they sat in a really low block, and we struggled to break them down. I think we scored halfway through the second half, and it wasn't a great performance
At all.
because that was our first win of the season. So the Norwich fixture was our first win this season. Wasn't convincing, but it was important to win the game. I think that they'll be slightly more open at home because when you play at home, I don't think you can just sit in front of your own fans in a
Fans
low
aren't going to
block.
accept that, yeah.
So hopefully that will give the space to our key players to make a mark, but they're not just going to allow us to sort of like run off us. So it'll be interesting to run off them. Sorry. So it'll be interesting to see how they set up. We got a lot more quality than Norwich, so just hope that quality shines through on the day. But for all that, we need to. I think in the last few games, what I've been really impressed by is that we've been aggressive, intense, and that has we've sort of like targeted weaknesses of the opposition and gone for it right from the start.
Like the young right back
And,
against Leeds. Yeah.
and also when we scored a goal, we looked to get a second goal. Whereas early in the season we weren't doing that; we were sitting off more. So
Especially away from home, that harmed us.
yeah, I think this intensity and aggression is something that I liked, and I think that's if we go into the game against Norwich with displaying those sort of characteristics, I think hopefully your quality shines through because as long as you have to win the right to win football matches. You have to
This
win
is
the
it.
right for your quality to show through. And
Earn the right to play 100.
you're not at it, as yourself, you understand the game. You played the game as well, so you've got to show that character on the pitch to win that sort of like right to be.
You don't win it on
To use
paper.
your quality, So and I think the boys have shown that in the last few games, and I just hope it carries on at Norwich. If we play that way, I think we should get the result.
Like you said, man, I think we should. I think we could, but whether we do is another thing. I feel, as you said, we've got to silence the 12th man. Respectfully, when we look at Norwich, I'm looking at Wolves because I do think against City, they were unfortunate. Against Chelsea, they were quite unfortunate. I think, well, last time we played Wolves, it ain't been plain sailing.
They're a very hard team to break down, Wolves, aren't they?
That's it.
And I think that'll be a very difficult game. Wolves at home will be a really tight, difficult game. But I think, as in football, deluded one game at a time.
Definitely where Arsenal's concerned.
Sunderland this week in the League Cup. The next league game is Norwich. I think that I've got this funny feeling that after the Norwich game, they might put the league season on hold for a couple of weeks. So I've got this funny feeling that
You're not alone.
they might even move to empty stadiums or something like that. I think something's going to happen the way that the world's going at the moment. And so that Wolves game might not happen. But Because if it is, that's the game I'm going to. I've got a ticket for that game. So.
Fingers, everything crossed that it goes ahead. Personally, I agree with you. I think you will see behind closed doors just because it doesn't make sense, especially when games are being cancelled. I think it was Burnley against Villa. You've made all those thousands of people kind of congregate and then told them 2 hours later, that it isn't happening. And away from just, disappointing people, they've literally just congregate, raised potential infection rising levels for what really? And the longer football is on, I mean, society can't combat this because football is a major reason as to why it could potentially spread because of the people traffic. So I think you're right on that. We're going to see behind closed doors. It probably might affect Arsenal because we're not going to have the 12th man at the Emirates, really, but it might make our away form better. So who knows, man? Who knows? Graham, it's been fantastic having you here. Is there any other content to come from you today, this week, or?
Well, funny enough, there is actually. I'm sort of like I've had a busy day today, and tonight So I'm not like you, mate. I'm not.
Man.
By the way, your channel is really continues to get good numbers. So I noticed that. Sort of big up for and really excellent content. I enjoyed the one you did with Mo the other night.
Thank you very much, man.
So tonight, funny enough, the same old Arsenal returns for a Christmas special.
I'm definitely tuning in.
Craig and the boys are back. Lee Judges, myself, Harry Simu, Dan Potts, and Mark. We'll be back doing a special Christmas same old Arsenal because obviously Craig gave it up because he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. We've coaxed him to come back tonight to do a Christmas show. So we did have sort of like Secret Santa presents lined up, but a few of them haven't arrived. Good old Royal Mail let us down. So. But we're having a Christmas special reviewing the Arsenal tonight, 8 o'clock on YouTube. Same old Arsenal, hosted by Craig. No doubt we'll be taking the piss out of Harry in his love for Granit Xhaka throughout the show. So if you want to see Harry get ripped out about his love for Granit Xhaka,
you know where to be at 8 p.m. Yeah, 100%.
But look, thanks for inviting me on. As ever, great content from you. Enjoy talking to you, and invite me back next month, and we'll have another chat next month.
Definitely will.
Do these every month, mate, and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing fantastic work there on your channel.
I appreciate that, Graham, man. Stop cutting onions, man. But yeah, definitely, man. I mean, hopefully in January when you're next here, we're still positive. We're still smiling. Who knows, man? We've appreciated having you lot. As Graham said, you know where to be at 8 p.m. Make sure you're following him on Twitter and all his socials. And stay safe, stay COVID-free, and we'll love and leave you lot, people. On that note, we're out. We're out. Peace.
He always used that accurate defending.
I think it's like